Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Friday. I'm your host, Matty B43. Today, we got a super incredible guest joining us, someone who's doing incredible things in their field. We got Jaben on the show today.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, for our listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, could you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is obviously Jaben. I have a small wholesale company here in Phoenix, Arizona, doing deals all throughout Maricopa County, and then in Charlotte, and then Raleigh, Durham, out in North Carolina.
Yeah, can you tell me more about your journey on becoming a real estate agent?
Yeah, so I moved out to Phoenix, Arizona from a small town in Nebraska at 18, right out of high school. Originally, I came down here. I wanted to get into the pool business. So I came out here to work for a pool guy, kind of learn the ropes before I started my own pool company and did that for a few months. And that was not for me. And in high school, I had read a book about real estate investing. And so I thought, this is the perfect way to get into real estate. I'll go try and make a quick buck as a real estate agent. It wasn't a quick buck, but I ended up, enjoying it and kind of stuck with it. So I was an agent for several years until about a year and a half ago. I kind of switched it to wholesaling and went all in on that and started my company called Onyx Investments.
Can I ask you, was the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No, I really don't remember. It's been so long. I want to say it might have been like a Brandon Turner book or something like that.
Okay. So the book was kind of wholesale that got you into it. Can you explain what wholesaling is?
Yeah, so the book was just about real estate investing. And so that's why I got into real estate because I'm like, I want to be a real estate investor someday. So I'll just go and be a real estate agent. But wholesaling is going out, finding distressed properties, placing an offer on these properties at a discount, obviously, and then locking them up in your name, and then going out and selling these properties before close of escrow to an end buyer. And typically that's a fix and flipper or sometimes a rental buyer.
Okay. So, and I mean, what do you like about living and working in Arizona? Is the real estate there, the market pretty good?
Yeah, the market here is awesome. And like I said before, we do a little bit out in North Carolina, which are kind of similar style markets, like, with a lot of hot buyers, just a hot, upward market essentially. So I love it out here in Phoenix, beautiful weather. It kind of slows down in June, July when all the snowbirds go back up north. And then it gets busy in the fall and spring.
Yeah, I can only imagine the seasons is pretty difficult at times. I mean, what kind of challenges do you face when like helping clients buying or selling homes?
So with the wholesaling side of things, a lot of the properties are probate, so they're inherited properties or the foreclosure properties. So we really have to focus on their timeline. So some people need a longer close of escrow, and then we'll need a post possession. Some people need to close like next week in order to avoid that foreclosure. So
Okay. I mean, what's your favorite part about working in the real estate market?
it's something different every day. So getting to meet new people, it's really fast paced. So it's awesome all around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a industry that a lot of people go towards nowadays, don't you say?
I'd say so. There's a ton of big gurus selling their courses, so tons of people trying to jump into it.
A lot of people jump into the real estate market, and I'm not going to say it's made for everyone, but I mean, if they want to dip their toe in it, I think it's a good thing. I mean, is there any type of education you need for it?
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. The attrition rate is super high. There's so many people getting into it, and then they kind of fall out super quick. They realize what it actually is. But being a real estate agent, you need to get your real estate license. But to wholesale real estate, you don't need any sort of license at all. So you can kind of just jump into it. The hardest part is just, learning how to generate leads. So once you kind of got that figured out, selling the deals are kind of easy once you have good deals coming in, but really just mastering how to generate these motivated seller leads or get these motivated sellers sent to you, which is essentially what I do. And then once you have that figured out, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, what do you think the biggest mistake is in wholesaling when people are doing it?
For new people, it's the biggest mistake I see is not being prepared. So getting into it thinking that they're going to make a super quick buck, 2 weeks from now. When in reality, you need to prep for at minimum 2 to 3 months without a deal, but I've seen it take way, way longer, like 6 months to a year. I know guys who didn't get a deal their whole entire first 12 months. So it's prepping for not having a paycheck for a while and then just staying consistent. So you need to pick out your KPIs, your key performance indicators, what you're planning to do every single day and make sure you follow those. And in wholesaling, sometimes it's a long game building these relationships. So it may not seem like it's working in the moment, but it's having that perseverance to keep doing what you said you were going to do for, the long-term picture, for it to pay off 6 months to 12 months down the road.
Yeah, I mean it's down the road. I agree with that. I mean, who do you think benefits the most from using like real estate agents and why?
Who do I think benefits the most from using real estate agents?
Yeah.
I think it's just a nice barrier between the home buyers and the home sellers. Somebody that knows what they're doing and is very familiar with the process. And then on the flip side, wholesaling, which I also do, is distressed homeowners. That's who really benefits from that. So if your house is super clean, and you have plenty of time on your hands, then I always recommend you list the property on the market 9 times out of 10. But if the property is distressed, let's say you just inherited it, maybe the property needs a ton of work, or you got a foreclosure date coming up in 3 to 4 weeks, and you need somebody to close it quick, or you just want to get that property off your hands, then wholesalers or fix and flippers are definitely the route to go through.
Yeah, the fixer uppers. I mean, the people don't they usually like buy them for a low, fix them up, and then they take a loan off of what they think they made to make a so they kind of like they tell the bank, hey, I did this much work on the house on a fixer upper, and they take a loan on that for the next fixer upper.
Yeah, I think you might be talking about the Burr method where it's, buy, rehab it, and then rent it, refinance, where you go in and purchase it, you fix it up, rent the property out, and then you would refinance the property, pulling your equity back out to be able to go out and buy another property. And that's like long-term holding. The fix and flip, you go buy these properties from wholesalers like myself, or direct to seller, kind of where I get my leads from. And then you will just offer on the property, purchase it, fix it up, turn around and sell it right away, and just turn and burn them.
Yeah, how much money does someone need for like a down payment?
So typically it's 20% with these hard money lenders. As you do deals with them, they'll lower it down to like 15%. And you got some guys that are covering the rehab costs, some that are not. So it all really, really varies.
Okay. Is the area that you're in like does that matter about the pricing of the house?
The area, what do you mean by that? The area that I'm in?
Like for so like just say the neighborhood or the type of cost of living.
Yeah, it definitely varies. Like you have super hot areas where investors will be a lot more aggressive because they know the area can bear more. The area's a lot better, like North Phoenix or Chandler, for example. Those properties are typically getting some of the highest, selling at the highest amount from the after repair value, just because they know that area bears it well and those properties sell quick. They're not sitting on the market long. Whereas you have some different areas like Maryvale and stuff where people have to be a bit more conservative because the area is not as good and those properties may not sell as quick.
Okay. If you had to like if something was wrong like in an inspection, what would you do in that aspect of things?
Well, you just try and get more money off of the from the purchase price. So the more stuff that's wrong with the house, the better for a fix and flipper, essentially, because you're typically able to get it at a bigger discount. So if the property needs everything redone, you're going to factor that into account plus, some profit there. So the more work the property needs, the better for a flipper or a wholesaler like myself. And
Yeah,
so
how
we use a
yeah.
pretty simple formula when making offers. So we'll find the after repair value, the ARV, and we'll take 7 to 8% off the top for holding costs, closing costs, and then commissions on the back end. and then we'll figure out what the rehab value is, which is typically between 25 and $50 a square foot, depending on if it's a light cosmetic rehab, or if it needs everything. And we'll take that off, and then you'll take off your profit from that number. And then if you're wholesaling it, like I would be, then you take off your assignment fee from there.
Okay. How
Yeah,
long does it usually take for a buyer from start to finish?
they're pretty quick. Like I said, this side of the industry is a lot more fast paced than if you're a real estate agent. So on the wholesaling, it's pretty quick because we'll come across a seller that needs to sell right away. So they could call me up tonight and they need to be out by next week, or they need to be out by in 2 weeks. So I'll lock that property up, and I have to go out and find a buyer that's ready to close next week or ready to close in 2 weeks. So it's locking it up tonight, and we could be getting paid out, 7 to 14 days from now. So it's super, super quick turnaround time.
How long have you been in the industry for?
I've been in it for 5 years. So I got into it at 18, and then I knew a little bit about wholesaling. As I was an agent, you're kind of in the business every day, and then went out, started my company full time about a year and a half ago, wholesaling.
So when you're wholesaling, how can you make an offer stand out?
You cut out there. Say that again.
When you're wholesaling, how can you make an offer stand out?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. So if it's like an on market property, you'll have it's obviously listed through a real estate agent. And one thing I like to do is I'll go in and have that real estate agent represent me, just because they get both sides of the commission. So they're more motivated to get my offer pushed through, more motivated to tell me what kind of offers they need to beat out. But it's really just building good rapport with that seller or that real estate agent and figuring out what that seller needs. And a big mistake that I see a lot of newer wholesalers or newer investors make is go in there offering a 10-day close with whatever price they need. But you'll find out that a lot of sellers need a little bit longer of a time, or maybe they need a 2-week close with a 30-day post-possession where they can live in the house for 30 days after close of escrow. So if you go in there offering a 10-day close, and realistically they need, a 30-day post-possession, so it'd be 45 days in total, and you're just offering that 10-day close, then they're going to go with somebody that built rapport and actually asked what the seller needs. So that's one thing. Like I said, having the agent represent us, and then almost every single time we'll cover the seller's closing costs as well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, so you work hand in hand with the agents, and then you probably have a list of clients you have?
Yeah, so my main book of business right now is real estate agents. So I have just under 2,000 real estate agents that hear from me every single month. And so these people I've spent the last year and a half reaching out to, building relationships with, and then continuously following up with them. So that way, when, they come across a client that's in distress, I'm the one that they think of. And this is a great barrier to entry if you're thinking about getting into wholesaling, is reaching out to real estate agents, because these guys are in the trenches every single day talking to new seller leads, trying to get listings. And then a lot of agents, when they come across these deals, they'll just throw them away. They don't know what to do with them. So you want to reach out and build that relationship, explain what you do, explain what kind of property you're looking for, and just be another solution for that seller, for that agent, so they can make money on something that they might have thought they wouldn't have.
It sounds all too good to be true. What's the downfall of wholesaling?
It's a grind. It's a grind. It takes a lot longer to get rolling than what you think. And it is super stressful dealing with all these different moving pieces and these deals. And it requires a lot of calling, a lot of texting, a lot of prospecting. So it's a lot more of a grind than what it may seem like.
It's almost like you're a manager for like a whole bunch of just you're like the middleman for all these people, the from the homeowner to the real estate agent, and then basically the people that have the money too to want to spend it.
Exactly. There's so many moving pieces trying to get these deals to the finish line. It's crazy.
Now, why would a real estate agent not want to be a wholesaler?
So there's a lot of bad, a lot of wholesalers have a bad rap, and that's because there's so many people that have gotten into it, kind of not really knowing what they're doing. They're going out taking advantage of people, not doing it the right way, just locking up deals and then canceling on them. So wholesalers have a really bad reputation. So a lot of agents don't like to work with them. So that's the biggest reason why you wouldn't work with a wholesaler. It's just they lock it up, cancel it, take advantage of the seller. So there's lots of different reasons. But if you go with a trusted company that knows what they're doing and is kind of honest and forthcoming with up front with you, there's not really much downside.
What advice would you give someone that wants to start off in wholesaling? Is it more like you just want to build that relationship and that years of experience you need to just get out there?
Yeah, it's learn by trial and error, getting in the trenches and making those calls every day. Like I still have calls that I mess up, and I've been doing this how many years, So it's going out and just continuously talking to people and perfecting your script. But the biggest thing I would say is just to take action. You don't want to sit on the sidelines and keep studying all these YouTube videos or whatever. You need to get out there and just take action. So, and another big thing is just stay consistent. So pick a game plan and stick to it. So like I was saying at the beginning of this is figure out how many calls you're going to make a day, how many texts you're going to make a day, and live by that religiously, no matter how you feel. You feel sick, get up and knock out the calls, at least do the bare minimum. But make sure you hit these KPIs every single day, no matter what. And it may not feel like it's being very fruitful at the time, but you got to look at the bigger picture, look at 6 months to a year down the road. So just stay consistent with it.
Is there any tricks you can explain to the viewers for the is there any tricks you can go to the city that knows that there's some foreclosed houses or anything like that?
The main way we get our leads is through these real estate agents. So you don't even need there's nothing, no fancy tricks to it. It's just putting in the reps. So you can go on realtor.com and just start calling down a list of real estate agents, or you can, after you build a relationship with a title company, they'll send you a list of agents based on how many deals they've done last year. So, a good one I do is they closed at least 5 deals the year prior. It's a max of like 20 to 30. And that title company will send you a list of realtors and you can start calling and texting them.
How has technology changed the way that real estate agents work?
It's definitely changed it quite a bit. People being able to access, their value at their fingertips. Like Zillow's getting more and more accurate every single day. I remember a couple years ago, we looking at Zillow like it was off like more than half the time, but now they're kind of getting it dialed in. It's getting quite a bit more accurate. So these homeowners are able to figure out their home's value and hire a real estate agent with the click of a button. So it's definitely changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, what changes do you see in the industry?
I see a lot of people are saying that real estate agents are kind of becoming a thing of the past, and I kind of disagree with that because everybody likes that personal connection, that personal touch, and being able to talk to somebody that they know and trust to help guide them through that home buying process. Like even when they just wiped out the buyer broker commission a few months ago, everybody thought that was going to change everything with the real estate industry, but all the solid, good agents are able to still sell their value as to why they deserve that buyer broker compensation. And most of the sellers that I've seen are still offering that regular compensation. So it's kind of business as usual. And that just goes to show you what people think about that personal connection and that personal touch instead of negotiating directly with the home seller or using, Zillow or some other online company to buy their house. Having that personal connection is very important.
Yeah, I mean, how do you see the industry evolving in the next 10 years?
I definitely think we're going to be seeing quite a bit more technology, more AI for sure. I think that's going to make, some of our jobs easier. But really, yeah, just more technology.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the whole technology wave coming in and just transitioning the whole industry a little bit. And just the homes too. I mean, a lot of people are selling their homes. I mean, I think it's going to be there for quite a while. What do you say about like the whole industry as a whole when it comes to a lot of people are renting houses now? They're getting out of their houses and they're going towards like renting instead of buying.
I think it's always good to get into a home. You have something that you can build equity with. Because if you look at the long term, you're going to be paying down your mortgage every single month. You're going to be getting the equity gain, every single year with average of like 6% a year. So I think it's always better to own long term than renting and paying your landlord's mortgage. So why not go out and buy? They have plenty of first time home buyer programs. I know the rates are a little bit high right now, so just hang on until they can come back down, or do what they call like a 2-1 buy down if you can't afford the payment right now. You could do a 2-1 buy down where you buy down the rate 2% for the first year and then 1% for the second year. So
Yeah, how do the rates work in your industry?
how do they work in our industry? So they kind of, it's more so how the market works, I guess, in the wholesaling industry. So the rates will kind of affect that. If the rates being much higher, the market will be a little bit slower, and then investors will be a bit more conservative. Whereas if the rates are way lower, the market's generally taking off and everybody's off the sidelines and is buying and selling, and moving along. So that gives investors, these fix and flippers, a much more positive outlook on the market, and turn they're paying more for these properties.
Where do you keep up with the real estate trends in the market?
I use there's an app called Mortgage News Daily, so that's where I'm able to track the interest rates and then just kind of keeping up with the regular big news headlines. But I try to stay away from some of it because I mean it's kind of data over drama. So a lot of the headlines will try and fish you in with the next big market crash. But if you look at all the data, it looks like we're going to be solid for at least the next 12 months, with everything trending upwards continuously.
Yeah, I mean, how do you stay motivated during like the slow periods in the market?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I've found to stay motivated is writing out my goals. So I wrote out my 12-month goals, and then I wrote out some crazy goals that are 10, 15 years down the road. But these 12-month goals I have in my notes, and I have it in my calendar where I check these 3 times a day: in the morning, at lunch, and then at night before I go to bed. And that kind of keeps me disciplined and on track, especially on those days that I'm not motivated. I kind of see my big why and my purpose as to what I'm driving towards, and it helps me really stay dialed in and disciplined on those days that I don't feel like it.
No, that's a good takeaway for most people. They need to really write down their goals and stuff like that. I
Big
have
time.
to ask you, yeah, I mean, why did you choose Arizona as a place to build your real estate career?
So it was originally because I wanted to move out here to start a pool company. So it was like between here, Texas, or Florida, some of these sunny states where everybody has a pool. And so I moved out here, and then, ended up staying because I love it. I love the atmosphere, and it actually turned out to be one of the hottest markets in the country, and it still is. So it was a great place to be. Have you ever been?
I I went through the corner of it of Arizona, and I'd love to go back and maybe buy a house there one day, or maybe a headquarters one day.
You should. You should. It's awesome here.
Yeah, it seems like a very cool area. I always watch these TV shows, and a lot of it's in like New Mexico, Arizona, and it seems like a very good area to own a home in.
It definitely is. I mean, beautiful weather almost all year round. I mean, it gets scorching hot in the summer, June, July, and August. But if you can deal with that for a couple of months, you get 70, 80-degree weather the rest of the year. So you're out on the East Coast, right?
Yes, I'm from Michigan,
Michigan. Okay. Okay. Nice.
so I mean,
Yeah, that's just
where do you think is the most underrated area in Arizona?
the most underrated area in Arizona. I don't know if I'd say it's underrated, but definitely like the Southeast Valley, like Mesa, Chandler, and Gilbert. It's all super hot, and the prices aren't absolutely crazy yet, like they are in Scottsdale. And
Okay.
then also out on the west side, it's really up and coming. Um, Out in Surprise, Peoria, Buckeye, out past the 303. It's all new developments. I think we're kind of pushing the boundaries all around, but I think that market's going to be really hot out there over the next 5-10 years.
No, I think the whole industry is going to be really hot for you. I mean, do you have a memorable client you've worked with?
Memorable client. Mm, let me get back to you on that one. We'll come back to that one.
Okay. Because I mean, it's a you've been doing this for 5 years, and like I love your energy and your content you create with Millie, your dog.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Okay, so I do have a client. His name is Sarkis. Okay, so he's a older Lebanese guy, and this is when I was a real estate agent. Him and I still talk quite a bit, but real stubborn, real hard-headed, and he's real mean to everybody except for, me, or if you know him. He's even mean to his family members, real hard-headed. But one day he calls me up asking if I can come pick him up from an appointment, a doctor's appointment. I'm like, yeah, it's a little weird. Turns out he just had a catheter stuck in him, like did some heart procedure or whatever. He's not allowed to drive out of there. So I go pick him up, and I still don't know him that well at this time, but he's my client, asked me to do it. It's kind of really weird. I was newer in the business. So I'm like, what the heck? Why not? So I pick him up. They asked me to sign these release papers for him. Like, I'm going to be supervising him for the next 48 hours. I'm like, what the hell? So I sign him. We get out of there. We get in my car. He's like, all right, take me around the corner. My car's over there. I'm like, no, dude, they just said you cannot drive. But long story short, he ended up driving back home. And I'm like, you are crazy, man.
Yeah, what you do for clients, right?
Right. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah,
What's your?
he's fun.
No, that's really cool. I mean, you probably have how many clients have you worked with?
I've closed over 50 real estate transactions since I got started.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
We're-
favorite part of working in the real estate industry?
It's just essentially new people every day, and I really love something I've kind of started to enjoy a little bit more is helping people that are a little bit newer. So I just hired on um, my first acquisitions guy that's actually done a deal. I had one bad hire a few months back. That was my first one, but he actually just did his first deal a couple weeks back. So that was super fulfilling and super awesome to be able to see. So I love kind of helping him and training him every day. So that's been a really really fun part of it. Really fulfilling.
And plus, on your Instagram page, you're helping out a whole bunch of people over the internet.
Yeah, definitely trying to help as many people as I can. So now that I haven't quite mastered it yet. I still have so much to learn, but basically just taking all the knowledge that I've learned and trying to give back and put it out and motivate people to actually get started and get rolling. So there's tons of free content on there. And feel free to shoot me a message if you're watching this and want to kind of know the next steps or want some advice on how to get started. Definitely just
Yeah,
reach
what's
out with a message.
what's your tagline again on the Instagram?
Jaben_Makings.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It's very good information. He gives out a lot of free information, and you learn a lot from all the. You see his dog Millie on there too, which is I'm a favorite of.
Yep, yep. Millie the chocolate lab.
Yeah, what do you not like about the real estate market right now?
There's a ton of people on the sidelines, so it's kind of iffy. A lot of people we thought were waiting because of the election, but the election's over and it's still kind of been a little bit stagnant. So I think a lot of people are just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the interest rates to come down.
Okay. I mean, do you have any tips for like a first-time home buyer?
I'd say just do it. Do it. Don't try and time the market. Time in the market is better than timing the market. So the longer you're in the market, the better. Um, Even if it's a little tight right now, just kind of hope that the rates will come down at some point next year. Because I think they will hopefully come down in the fives. But in the meantime, you could negotiate with the seller to help buy down that rate, do what they call a 2-1 buy down. So get the seller to pay for that. And just ask your agent what that is. They can explain it. But 2-1 buy down, they'll cover that. Try and get the sellers to cover that. So I'd say, yeah, just get in the market and make it happen.
So in wholesaling, do you recommend for people to go into wholesaling or real estate?
I would recommend wholesaling because I was an agent for a while, and I mean, I love this a lot better. But I guess yeah, it has its pros and cons. So if you want to be out driving around, showing houses, doing open houses on the weekends, showings on the weekends, um, that might be for you. Whereas the wholesaling, it's mostly in the office. I'm not having to leave and run around as much. Like once occasionally I have to run out to a property, but most of the time it's being in the office. But if you like being out running around and meet different people face to face, becoming a real estate agent, it might be the better route.
Yeah, I feel like a wholesaler is kind of more like a you're just making people move around. You're like moving around chess pieces to help the situation. Whoever needs help here, whoever needs help there. And I mean, how do you handle like tough situations that deals just don't fall through?
I mean, they fall through all the time. Like I just got a call probably an hour before I jumped on here, and it was a deal we're closing out in North Carolina. And the guy we're supposed to close tomorrow, and the guy just came back to me saying that he doesn't think the lot next to the house is buildable anymore. And I'm like, well, you went out there and checked it out at the beginning, so now it's having to come down, negotiate on price again, and kind of revamp everything. We had another one where the end buyer's hard money guy didn't come through. It took like an extra week and a half, so it was like essentially just begging the seller to, stay with us and not cancel the contract to take the earnest money to get the deal to the finish line. So they fall through. They can fall through quite a bit. Definitely is a part of it. And just having the stomach for that, the stomach for those calls, is the biggest thing.
No, I mean, I feel like wholesaling is one of those industries that is really underrated at times. And what would you tell someone that's trying to figure out, hey, I want to do this for a living, but they're not motivated to take the first step?
They could start by doing it, in the evenings, work your 9 to 5 and then doing it in the evenings. But another way to frame it though is like, are you going to be wanting to work for that same boss for the next 30 years until you retire when you're 65? Or you want to, take that leap of faith, and actually work for yourself? Because like looking back, 30 or 40 years from now or 60 years from now, when you're on your deathbed, you're going to look back and regret not taking that leap, and like the regret of what could have happened. But instead you look back and you just have had that same mundane life, not taking any risks, just living with the status quo. And I don't know about you people listening, but I know that's not for me. The status quo, I want to exceed that and be my own boss, make my own hours, make the kind of money that I want.
When it comes to like finding something wrong with a house when you're wholesaling, what do you look for?
We'll look at everything. The biggest things. So out here in Arizona, the two biggest things are just the roof and AC. And then sewer lines are also very important. And then electrical. So those are the biggest things. And then inside the house would be more so the kind of the layout of it. That's kind of a big one. Nowadays, everybody wants a big, walk-in closet. So if you're in, some of the nicer areas, you need to make sure you have that, or you at least have room to make like a walk-in closet or a big bathroom.
Okay, so you kind of look for what's wrong with it and what you can do for it. And then when you're when you're starting off, did you reach out to like a whole bunch of real estate agents and seeing who would want to work with you?
Yeah, man, I reached up to so many. Like I had it to a point where I was sending out well over 300 texts every single day and 100 calls every day. So just reaching out to as many people as possible and trying to build this relationship, just casting a wide net and reeling in whatever you can. There's going to be a lot of FUs and a lot of people that don't want to work with you. But it's just casting a large enough net and putting it in enough repetitions where you're going to find these solid people that will want to work with you and send you these deals.
Yeah, what makes you different than all the other wholesalers in Arizona in such a big market?
Well, number one is our speed to lead. So we are extremely quick with it. So like a lot of these agents will send out their properties to several different investors, but our average response time is within like 5 minutes. So we're on it, building that rapport with that agent and trying to get the deal locked up. And then number two is we're not a massive corporation. We're just a local mom and pop company here in the Phoenix area. So they know that it's not going to some big corporation in Silicon Valley. It's going back into, a local family here in Arizona. And then also the customer service that we provide is, top tier. So they're in contact with me, the owner of the company, or the acquisitions guy the whole way through. So there's no BS having to go through a call center or whatever it may be with some of these bigger companies. I don't want to name names, but
Yeah, how do you understand that a real estate agent is knowing what they're doing?
how do I understand? Say that again.
How do you know a real estate agent isn't just making things up when they're like making a sale or something like that, and they actually know like they've been in the industry for a while?
I think you could kind of just tell by the way they talk, because I'll talk to a lot of agents, and the way they like kind of push and don't know a whole lot about how about how the whole process works. I think you can kind of fish it out, but that's me, having been in the industry for quite a few years. So with them, if it was like a client that's not super familiar with real estate, I'm not really 100% sure how they would kind of fish out if they weren't very good. I guess just kind of dig into their background a little bit and ask them some market questions, see how knowledgeable they are of the areas. Those would be the biggest ones.
Do you usually have like 10 real estate agents like right now that you just like these are the ones that are on top of the game in the Arizona area, and those are the ones that come to you all the time?
There are quite a few um, that send me a lot of deals. I mean, not every deal is great, but they're like active, and they'll send me a lot of stuff. Like we have to pass on a lot of them. But yeah, I know quite a few agents that are just constantly sending me properties, and the best ones are when they only send them to me and not other investors. So I'm not having to compete or anything like that. And we just have a solid, tight relationship. And they're like, just call me up before they go on a listing appointment or whatever.
Yeah, how do you find these investors?
The investors, so you can use different softwares, or you can go on Facebook. So they have a lot of wholesaling groups or investor groups, and you just post on there that you have a property, and a bunch of people will come out of the woodwork commenting. But the best way I would say is through the softwares or through past deals that have closed. So there's a software called Privy where you can go look at all the fix and flip activity in the area, and so you can either skip trace that guy who sold that fix and flip, or you can reach out to his agent and try to build that relationship. So either way, but those are my biggest ways right there.
For wholesaling as a whole, what are the biggest benefits like of it?
Just quick closing. Yeah, quick closing. We're flexible with that timeline, so quick or long, and cash offers as is. You don't have to do any cleaning. You don't have to do any repairs. So it's super seamless and easy for the clients to make that move.
So in your industry, I would say it's like as quick as possible. Uh, get the client, get the house, get the sale, move it along.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's where the agent side of things, it's a lot more nurturing where you get a new lead in, and it's gonna take, 6 to 12 months for that lead to come around. So it's a lot slower of a play. Whereas this wholesaling, like I was saying earlier, you get a deal in the lead in tonight, you lock it in tonight, and you get paid in 2 weeks. So it's definitely two sides of the coin for sure.
Yeah, time is money, and it seems like who benefits the most out of the whole network that you're part of with the agent, the client, and you.
I think it's all of them because the seller is getting a great solution. They're able to close quick, get cash in their pocket, not have to do any repairs or cleaning or anything like that. The agent, because it's usually a pretty easy transaction, a lot easier than representing a regular seller or a regular buyer. So it's typically a lot simpler than us. We're making a fee, being able to sell it to somebody. and then also the fix and flipper on the end, because they found a good deal. Like they didn't have to go out and do it or go out and source all these deals. We were able to provide them with a solid deal that they're going to make money on the back end. So I think everybody kind of benefits from it.
Can you shout out your Instagram and all your other pages too right now?
Yeah, go follow me at Jaben_Makings, JABEN_Makings on Instagram. And then you
Javen,
can
you got
say onyxinvestments.com, ONNIX.
you got any questions for me?
I don't think so. I don't think
I
so. I really appreciate you having me on.
No, I appreciate you. Is this your first ever podcast?
Say that again. You
Was
cut
this
out.
your first ever podcast?
It is, yeah. It is.
No, I appreciate you coming on the show, Javen. And go chase your dreams because your dreams will not chase you. This is Every Day is Friday. And just like, see you next week, everyone.
See ya.
Listening with that.